Roxy.
Good morning, Tamta.
I feel like I haven't seen you forever.
I know, it's been too long.
It's been 9 months. We had a baby between the last time I saw you.
A shared
Just
baby.
popped one out.
You
What
did?
you been up to? No, I didn't. We have our first guy here.
Yes. Oh my God, he's popping our male guest cherry right now.
He is popping.
How does it feel?
Male guest cherry.
Feels great.
It's good, right?
Yeah, and we
Are you
asked
asking her or
him.
me?
Yeah,
I'm asking the both of you. We're in this together. It's all
and we
three of us.
asked him because he is very open about everything and advice and even dating advice. I think I need some male advice, don't you?
Yeah, we could always use some.
How can we be
right?
better to our husbands?
Oh yeah.
Are
Yeah,
you guys?
sure you know.
Are you guys? You're married?
He's like, what?
He's like, I know
I'm
nothing
like
about you
prepping
guys.
when you guys come on my podcast, all while doing your podcast.
We are unfortunately married.
We are. We have
I've been-
kids.
We have kids, unfortunately. Just kidding. We love them. I've been with my husband for 13 years now,
Wow,
and you've been with yours for.
I think we
She's
met.
like, I don't remember my anniversary.
I know. Oh shit! I think it's been like 15 years.
15 years. I met him when I was 12. So
Her husband or yours?
my husband. Well, thank you so much for coming here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes,
Thank
excited
you.
to have you.
So can we ask, and we're going to just dive right into it because you said that we could ask you anything,
Sure.
but you'll deflect most of it.
I didn't say that. I just said, I mean, you can ask me whatever.
Okay.
I may deflect,
Okay.
but I don't think so. I mean, I don't
Okay. So
really
you've been in the news a little bit recently.
Oh, God.
Right. Oh God.
Right
Because
there.
someone said that she didn't date you, and then said that she did date you.
Her name rhymes with January.
Menuary Moans.
Did she say she didn't before? Or?
She did say she.
or she
didn't before.
deflected?
Well, I don't know. Was it a deflect?
Well, when you say you're friends with someone, you're not necessarily saying you never dated or that too. I like to, especially lately in my life, I like to think I'm friendly with all the women I've had sex with.
Oh.
Okay. Okay.
So when did you guys meet?
A couple of years ago.
Oh, so it's been like a while then. You guys have been hanging out for a bit.
We started being
You're
friends.
so redneck.
Oh, what's happening? Are we
Here's the
deflecting?
thing.
Okay,
Here's the thing.
What's the thing?
I'm reluctant. I'm reluctant to talk about my dating life in general, especially in general, because I'm probably, if anything, if I'm known for anything, it's my dating life.
Mhm.
And then when it comes to speculation about me dating someone in the public eye, I'm extra cautious, just because, especially in my position, you know, a bachelor guy, there's a level of
It's a stigma.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so if say a reality TV person dates a real
Life.
a real
human
life
being.
celebrity,
And what?
then sometimes it can be perceived as a bit of a, you know, taking advantage of. You know, it's like, oh, I dated so and so to the perception of like upping status or anything like that. So I'm very cautious about that. So if people I have dated want to talk about it, great. And I'm more like, whatever you want to say, it's fine with me. I'm very careful about that. I think other guys in Bachelor Nation have there's been rumors and some of them talk about it. And it's just always kind of comes across. They seem to talk about it more. And then, you know what I'm saying? So I never want to seem like I'm trying to use that as a way to keep me in the news, so to speak.
Use it as
Right?
much as you can.
All
Well, I just sometimes I feel like there's certain stigmas that, whether fair or unfair, that women have to deal with, and there's stigmas that men have to deal with. And nowadays, I'd rather have the women talk about it than the guy.
Very gentleman.
You know, I don't know. We've been friends for a couple years.
Okay.
Just having sex. Okay, got it. I'm just kidding. I'm not putting you on the spot, but that's what you just said.
So are you just dating celebrities now that you've gotten into this like
God, no.
famous realm of like everyone knows your name?
I've dated women who are in the public eye before, and I've also dated women who, you know, could be my barista. I haven't dated a
Sexy
barista
barista.
before,
Barista.
but I would, yeah. I'm not partial to any profession,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
So we can get some of the Bachelor questions out of the way because I'm sure you've been asked so many of these. What really was what I was really curious about when I learned more about The Bachelor, because I haven't been someone who watches it every single season, is what does it feel like to be kissing or touching women all sort of in the same time period when we're sort of been told that that is just such a wrong thing to do? Like, do you feel comfortable, or is it something that feels off?
You talking about like worrying about being called like a slut or something?
No, but like it just, how does it feel to be kissing all women, like so many different women, like in days
That
within
sucks.
each other?
Or even the same day, right?
Even the
like
same
all
day.
in one.
It sucks because like you're not meant to do that,
Right.
you know. And it's not because you're not worried about what people are thinking about you. It's just, truthfully, you don't really want to kiss them all,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And in that world, like whether you're the bachelorette who's the woman in charge, or the bachelor who's the guy in charge, there's a level of power that they have, especially early on, because the cast is nervous, and the premise of the show is to get them to like you, and they get nervous, and ideally you have a lot of conversations, but when you get nervous, you don't know what to say, you just go in for the kiss. And so that's kind of the move a lot of the women have.
When you don't know what to talk about,
It's just
open
like,
your
oh,
eyes.
Make out.
Just make out with me.
You know, my dad left me. Do you want to make out?
Yeah, that's pretty much what goes
Were
on.
they all good kissers? I mean, were they good kisses? Like,
It's not. I don't remember anyone being a bad kisser. It's just some people, at least for me, like some people you're attracted to, and then there's a physical attraction, and there's chemistry, and there's some of the women. They're all, you know, beautiful, but I'm just not particularly into. So it's kind of like you're really having to kiss these women, even though you're not necessarily feeling it, because you don't want to be a jerk, or, you know, like, what are you going to do? Like turn your head? Like that's something the Bachelorette could do, but the Bachelor can't do.
So do you not worry about, because the whole time I'd be thinking of getting herpes. Like the whole time I'd be like, I now have dormant herpes that I don't know if it's like how many, you probably kissed so many people that you probably have a dormant in your body.
Right?
They do.
And like they
Shankers.
say 98% of people have dormant
Yeah, you
herpes, by the
probably
way.
have it.
I probably have it.
You
but
probably
it has
have
not
the
come out.
antibodies in your body, but they do test. You do
They
STD
do
tests.
test. Yeah, but you know,
tell you.
I'd rather have herpes below, because no one
You would.
I would rather. I said. I didn't say I did. I said I would rather, because no one can
I mean,
see
here's
it.
the thing. It's technically, I'm a hypochondriac, so I do a lot of research on this. They're kind of the same thing. The only difference is the social stigma.
Right.
The social stigma is most people would prefer it to be on their lip. You know, that's why people call it a cold sore. It's, oh, you have a cold sore. It's like, oh, actually, you have herpes.
Yeah.
But yeah, they test for it.
so you were on The Bachelor. You were vilified, actually. You sort of played like this villain kind of guy, right?
Well, the first season I was on.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of had an arc of
He's like, I've been on many.
first I was the villain, and
You've
then
been on
I
like 20,000 episodes of the
no,
show,
4,
right? Yeah.
you know, which is kind of average at this point for most people.
Right.
I'm just unique where I've done them all, where most people just keep going on Paradise to get to their 3 or 4 or 5 times. The first time I was considered the villain,
Yeah.
and then I was the hero, and then I was the Bachelor.
So did they tell you to play the villain, or was that something that just
Was
through
native.
editing? Right.
No, I mean, and my season was unique, and this was a while back where they just didn't have a lot of options. I mean, if you went back and watched the show, compared it to others, you probably wouldn't think I was that much of a villain. It's subtle. It's silly. I certainly didn't try to, and then that's why, I mean, it was probably unique. Not a lot of people have been the villain and then been the hero and then, you know, the Bachelor. So, but technically,
so my
yeah.
question, and what really interests me is, so you came out here to be an actor, right? So then what led you to doing this? And do you feel like you're on the right path for your destiny? Or do you feel like it got kind of a little murky along the way?
I don't really have a path. Just
I'm living it day by day.
I didn't come out here to be in. Well, I was on the show. I was in Chicago selling software when I first went on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, at first it was just, I'll just do this thing. Then I went right back to work. I worked for another year. Got asked to go back again. I went back, and then I took a leave of absence, and then I came out here. And then between that, then I started studying and doing some acting. And then in between, you know, so there hasn't been a set path. I mean, as far as my time in reality TV, you know, it's one of those things that, kind of like we talked about before, it can help and hurt. It's just how you navigate it. You know, there's plenty. It's giving me incredible access. There's a lot of people who are fans of the show. There's a lot of important people who are fans of the show. There's a lot of celebrities who are fans of the show. And so with that, it gives you a lot of access. People want to meet you. People are interested in getting to know you. They have a lot of questions about the show. There's also a stigma behind it. So even though you have access, they're like, yeah, I mean, I want to talk to you, but I don't really want to like, you know, and so most of the challenge for me, or a lot of the work I do, is kind of going against the grain of the stigma, and then proving people wrong, which has always been fun.
Right.
So what has been the craziest fan interaction for you, like since you became famous? Like what's like the craziest thing someone has
Being on
either
this podcast, getting him to be on this podcast. You're like, who are you people? How have you infiltrated my world?
I mean, there's no one crazy thing. It's like I've never like been worried about my safety.
But like,
women do.
Yeah, right.
I had a guy once send me a dead bird.
Yeah,
in
I've
the
never had
mail.
that happen.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Dead bird. And then I have a lot of people from prison. And I'm like, that's so interesting that they're watching
Still
my
haven't
show
had that.
in prison.
I mean, you know, most people who come up to you are very nice. Some people can get nervous and awkward. Some people, you know, the most annoying one is the person who pretends they don't watch the show.
Like me.
Do you
I'm
pretend?
actually not.
You're like binging it.
Yeah. I'm so obsessed.
Like I would never watch.
Sweating,
I would
under
never
my
watch that
armpits.
show. But like, aren't you? You know, so that can be frustrating, and that happens from time to time. I've never had an actual where it was so bizarre. I mean, sometimes people who follow you on social are. You notice them because they're obsessively messaging you and commenting, and it's just like hard not to notice. And I don't really interact with them, but I'll see it. It's just like the thought of the energy they're putting in just to get me to notice is bizarre.
So no showing you their
but
breasts.
No boobs.
well, I didn't say that, but
Like just walked up to you and just
no,
like,
not in person.
look at these amazing,
I've never had that
succulent
happen.
breasts.
I've never had that happen in person.
Oh, just like behind closed doors.
Yeah, yeah.
The internet is wild, you know.
Oh yeah, you probably get like vagina pics, huh?
Oh,
Not on the regular.
I get my face put onto other people's bodies, like literally porn sites. Like my face will be on other people's, and then I kind of I'm not that offended because they look really good.
They have good bodies,
Do you know what I
right?
mean?
Yeah.
Like they haven't had kids, so I'm like I've got abs. My boobs are so perky; they're under my neck.
Yeah,
I'm like I'm okay with it.
I don't think women are as creepy as men in that department.
Yeah.
I haven't really had that.
Yeah.
You know, there's always the occasional fan art, which is actually just, again, it's more like, wow, you really invested a lot of time. It's really impressive. Like someone made up my face out of glitter glue.
Wow.
That was interesting.
Shocking.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So you obviously went on The Bachelor to find love, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So
I mean, when I first went on,
or a partner.
when I first went on, it's, you know, you get casted on a show and that's what the show is about. And so
Right.
you go not really knowing what it's about, but certainly open to the premise
Right.
of the show and being a willing participant.
So
And then, you know, when I was asked to be the Bachelor, it's a little more different. I had a little more experience and
Right.
that was certainly the goal.
do you feel lonely, or would you
Wow.
get to the point? I know we're getting so deep. We went from porn to are you happy? Do you
All the time.
feel do you feel like because you haven't, I don't know your age, but you're still pretty young.
Yeah,
Do you feel like you've like missed that girl? Like, do you want to find that girl, and do you want to have kids, and do you want that whole story, or are you happy being, no pun intended, the Bachelor forever?
I would love to have kids. I have baby fever for sure.
You do.
Yeah.
There's nothing sexier than a guy with
I
baby fever.
know.
My husband does not want to put another baby inside me. He's like, every time I ask for sex, he runs the other way because he's like, I don't want to have
how
another
many
baby.
kids?
I've only got 2. I could pop out another.
Yeah, why not?
Why
You want
not?
for me while you're at it, will you?
She wants.
My sisters, I have nieces and nephew, and my nephews. Yeah, I have baby. I want kids for sure. As far as the wife part, sure.
Who
No.
cares?
No, I only say that because it's like I definitely really want to have children, and I would certainly like it to have it with someone that I enjoy their company, and you know, it'd be great to get married. Sure, you know, if they don't really want to get married because of some views, that's fine. I don't care, but I want the kids, kind of thing. So
That makes me really like you.
I know.
just because I have
He's
baby
not
fever.
bad.
Yeah, a lot of men don't want that.
What do you mean he's not bad? You're implying.
And actually, to even say it, because a lot of men might even feel that, but they don't say it. Like your ovaries are kind of screaming, "You're ready," right?
Mine, yeah. If I had ovaries, they'd be screaming when I see
Right?
my nephew.
All day long.
Is that weird? Can I say that? I feel like that's gonna make someone mad. I don't know.
I feel like Roxy.
You don't know what it's like.
Roxy should tell her story about wanting another kid.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You want
God.
another kid?
I do want another kid. So I have one child now. And yeah, so I'm gonna have this debate going on at home where my husband's like, absolutely not. And I'm like, oh yes, you will. And I try to steal sperm on the regular. I think I have to do the condom trick though, where you pick the condom out of the trash.
But it's only outside the body. You've only got like probably like 10 seconds. You got to do that shit so fast.
Shit, how am I going to distract him?
Again,
Very busy,
totally fine.
very busy.
Just so busy. That was
so busy, so busy. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on at home. It's like
interesting. Do you
sperm stealing?
Okay, no, I'll save that question.
You'll say that question.
I feel like I've got a lot of questions.
You guys,
I feel like what you have to do is you have to have sex and you need to run to the bathroom. Then you got to get the condom. Then you have to like use a turkey baster. You know what I mean? And you got to just do it really hard and fast. And you got to distract him though. You got to run. You need to be faster at that.
I know. I slip on the sperm.
I
though.
know
That's
she
the
does.
problem.
Sometimes she can't get out of the room fast enough.
And when you guys have sex, you wear condoms?
No, but I'm just trying to think outside of the box and like get creative. And
because honestly, what else is the point of being married?
Yeah.
No. I'm trying to get creative because we actually don't use condoms, but I'm trying to get creative because I've heard the footballer wives. This is what they do. They entrap their boyfriend's husbands.
No, we should wear a condom.
Entrapment.
I feel an itch.
And now my husband does not want a third kid, and so I'm like, okay, cool. If you don't want a third kid, you know how this works, right? But
I've never gotten that far just because I don't have kids.
Yeah.
That you know.
I don't know how I would feel having had kids.
Right.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I've never really thought about it, but I guess as long as I have the kids I want, I don't know. I'm no doctor, but you can. It all works the same, does it not?
Yes, I think it's painful.
Oh.
And I think it's the mental, just like knowing that you've been snipped.
I think it's less about that for him and more about the fact that a knife or a scissor is going to be near his balls.
Yeah.
And they're going to cut something. They're going to cut something down there. So it
could go all wrong.
It could go wrong. I don't know how. Yeah. I mean, we could lose a ball. So yeah, I think that's he's more afraid of than the actual being able to have kids anymore. Mm-hmm. And I also think you should have a backup because I think morbidly sometimes I'm like, what happens if something happens to my kids, knock on wood, and something happens to him and I want one more of his babies, or something happens to him and I want a third child. So I just want to store his stuff on ice just in case. Just in case I want more babies.
But that's husband number 2.
Yeah, husband number 2.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah.
You can do that with husband number 2.
Yeah. Husband number 2.
First husband for love, second husband for
money.
Third for
sex.
Sex?
I think, right?
This is what women talk about.
I'm learning a lot.
It's scary.
This is the pattern.
I wonder what hole that puts me in. I don't know. Love, money, or sex. Mm-hmm. Can I not? You just
can't really
have.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah. Well,
you could double it up.
You could double it up.
You're lucky, right?
Yeah, you're lucky. Mm-hmm. So why? I feel like women these days want more sex than men do. Are you finding that? Are you finding that's the truth?
Field research?
Well, it's harder for me to answer that question because I haven't done a lot of dating for long stints of time with a single person.
Okay. What's your longest relationship?
Ever?
Yeah.
7 years.
Okay. That's a long time.
I'm just saying, at this point in my life, it's it's harder for me to settle down. Mm-hmm. Only because it's hard for me to figure out, why should I settle down? So
the older you get, the more stipulations you have, the more life.
The
more life you've lived, and also the more rules you have, and the more you're set in your ways. Yes. There's things that I put up with now because I'm in it that I probably wouldn't have in the beginning. You know,
when you're young, you're just like, I love you.
Yeah, just like you don't have.
Make me feel a certain way. I don't really can't explain it, so we should just spend all our time together. Mm-hmm. And now when you're older, you're like, you're fine.
We need to get you out of LA.
Yeah.
You think LA is the problem?
I do.
Yeah. It's tough. LA's tough.
I'm not saying it's not, but I always am a little defensive of that line.
I love LA, but
I'm not sticking up for LA. It's just more tell me where I should go. You know, name me the city where
Australia.
people are
Go
just
to
like,
Dallas, Texas,
Australia.
or Australia.
you know, it's like,
They
you know,
all look like you in Australia, so it's not like you're
Australia
like
has great looking
that
people.
special.
but like, name me the place where everyone's like, you know where you should go, because like
Sydney.
there's so many husbands all over the place. Like that's the place you should go. Like, you know, you fly and every girl's like, girl, oh my god, like I have 5 possible husbands. They're all amazing. I've never heard of this place. Like,
I think I would do better outside of LA. Like I say to my husband, I said, if you're gonna leave me, do it soon, because I feel like I've got a couple of years left. Like, you know what I mean? Like to find a husband. But like, I don't want you to leave me in like 6, 7, 8 years time, because I feel like
you feel like you're in your prime.
yeah, I feel like I still have some eggs left. I still can like do, you know, my boobs are still fine. Like I've got a couple of years, so don't leave me in 6 years. So I'd have to leave LA.
I think New York is great for dating. I love dating. I loved when I lived in New York. And dated in New
I'm
York.
partial to New York. I love New York. I've heard some people who live in New York who complain about New York, which is kind of my point. You know, yes, I think every city has its challenges, right? Definitely, LA has its challenges. Don't get me wrong. It's, you know, people are a little more superficial, and they have other priorities other than kind of the traditions of love. And you know, New York has its issues, and the Midwest has its issues. Every place has its issues. I do think, to answer your question about, I think more guys are probably have easier access to porn and are probably masturbating more and probably having less sex. To answer your question about like why the stigma is why you think women want more sex than men. I think it's easier. I think there's more access to porn.
Well,
I think guys are watching it more.
The funny thing is,
I think a lot of women.
I think
watch
women.
porn, too.
I watch more porn,
Yeah.
way more than
I'm
my
not
husband.
saying women aren't watching porn. I
Yeah.
just feel like guys are just getting lazier. Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, I'm not experiencing that, and I'm not aware. But if that's true, that would be a guess of mine. I have no facts to back it up. But
I know in our mom group, we all want more sex.
But I've heard,
and it's interesting because yeah,
and maybe it's just, you know, when I was younger, even the stigma, it's just like, you know, young men are just kind of the horny teenagers or early adolescents, early 20s, and women don't reach their sexual prime until like their 30s, and there's kind of this intersection. So maybe that's it, where, you know, guys are just, their testosterone's going down.
I think so.
Women, you know, I feel like with men, like when they go through puberty and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I need to use this, and they're not worried about whether they're comfortable with their bodies or things like that. They just want to, you know, do things. And, you know, I feel like maybe for some women, not all, it might take a little bit longer for them to, you know, get comfortable with their bodies, be comfortable with sex, being more comfortable talking about it. Because obviously men don't make it easy on women. You know, traditionally men aren't really good at asking questions, or, you know, young men think they're better at sex than they are, probably.
Much,
you know,
better. They think they're much better.
Everyone thinks they're a rock star when they're young.
Yeah.
It's just nice to not be as like uptight about it, and like have so many barriers, and like be more relaxed and be like, you know what?
Yeah.
This is like what it is, you know?
I mean, I think though when women have children, they are more self-conscious about their bodies, but yet the pure and sheer act of giving birth, we had C-sections, thank God, but
Vagina's intact.
vaginas are fine, thank God. Once you've experienced something so transformative and so mind-altering, and like it's beyond anything like that's earthly, it's almost like it's almost a religious experience, if you're religious or not. That stuff just doesn't matter. It's like if someone doesn't want to be with you sexually because of a stretch mark on your stomach, it doesn't affect you as much, you know?
when you get older.
When you get older, I think there's a sexuality that comes with feeling so confident within what you've done in your life more than what you
look like. As a result of having children, or just
It's part of it. It's a
getting
big
older.
part of it.
I haven't liked myself for a long time because I was a very overweight child, and then I lost weight, and so I've always put myself in that girl that was bullied. But as I get older, I realize I can't change this. This is all that I am, you know, and I can't change it for someone else. So if they fall in love with you, then that's all I have to give. You know, I don't know if it's probably getting older, and it's also having children, because you're less selfish, and you don't look in. I haven't looked in the mirror probably for 5 years. I'm not even kidding.
Come on.
I don't even have a mirror. I have a bathroom mirror. Like, I don't go out and look in the mirror. I hardly put on makeup because you don't think about it as much, don't you think, Roxy?
The time too. I mean, it's like, and also I don't have a scale in the house. I don't know if you do, but it's like things like that sort of fall by the wayside when you're so busy with a child and like dealing and working and like being an entrepreneur and trying to reach all these goals. Things like that sort of fall by the wayside. Now I do look in the mirror. I do look in the mirror. Okay. But
I'm gonna be like, you're like making me feel like.
No,
I mean, I look in the mirror all the time.
I don't.
I must be like the most vain person in the world.
I thought I should have a mirror. I don't have a mirror at home other than my bathroom.
So you walk past a building in LA, reflections.
Firstly, I can't see because I wear glasses. I can't even see my reflection.
I mean, I'll admit, if I see my reflection, I might.
I don't look. I don't
look.
But I also find it. I do find it. The older I get, the more boring it becomes. Like I'm bored by it. You know what I mean? Like I'm bored by other people caring about their, like it just bores me. Like I want to talk about, like we're in such a weird sensitive place in our world right now. Like what turns me on is like, how the fuck are you, like how are you helping? Like how are you doing something that's helpful, or how are you making people laugh, or how are you giving back? If you're like telling me about like how good your hair looks, it just bores the shit out of me. It didn't when I was in my 20s, but the minute I hit 30, it just bores me.
Well, sure. I mean, I don't think it would it ever be a try. You've been on a date where a guy was like,
"It's been a long
my
time."
Hair great.
But my husband's like, "How do you?"
So well.
But my husband will say, "Like, do you like my hair?" And it's almost so cute because it comes out of insecurity rather than like, "Do you like my hair?"
The guy's like, "How's my hair?" You know. But guys get older, like, my hairline?
That's cute. I mean, I'm fine with that.
Like, how am I doing?
Yeah.
I just don't want to talk about it. Like, if my husband sat in the car and wanted to talk about his looks, I'd be so fucking bored.
Do guys do that?
No.
I guess maybe probably some do. I mean,
sure.
On the
I'm
vanity scale, if they're like,
I don't know. I just find it boring.
I think too, being in this industry, you know, you're also like we're surrounded by people who are so fucking self-consumed and like literally can't see past like their own mirror, you know? So I think it's like also like jumping out of that and just kind of like meeting people, like other people that are in different sort of realms and just like putting ourselves out there.
Look, I don't think that you shouldn't take care of yourself. Like health and wellness is like, it's the most important thing. So I don't think it's not about health for me. It's just about appearance. Like I just find it boring. And I do think that when you're really young, that's all you focus on, you know? Sure. And like youth is wasted on the young, you know? Like,
it really is.
Yeah.
I would love to have that.
When you can appreciate it.
I can't see it.
With it.
I mean, like,
except when it's in the air and I'm looking at myself in my mirror. Like I have a mirror on my roof, though. Just kidding.
Of course, you
I'm like, I look fabulous.
I only see myself having sex.
Yeah, that's fine. That's all.
Totally fine.
That's great.
Camera's rolling.
Yeah.
So, well, back to the kids. Like, you're one of what?
11. That shocked the shit.
I know. How?
I mean, I didn't do anything. My mom.
What? Like
you
that?
Know?
How?
I mean, when people find out, they're like, wow, how'd you do it? Like,
how did you survive?
I thought 2 kids was a lot. I was like, how do I get 11? My shit together with 2?
No, I don't know how their parents did it. It's remarkable. But
I actually looked at your Instagram. You posted a picture of your mom. She looks amazing.
Total babe.
You never tell me, Tuck?
No.
What's her? Yeah,
not that I'm aware of. I can say that I've never asked my mom, but I'm pretty confident that my mom has not had any augmentation, mostly probably out of budget.
Well, yeah, she has 11 kids. She needs to like feed them.
Yeah.
It's like, but no, but I'll ask.
So why 11? Was it religious reasons?
We grew up very Catholic.
Yes. No birth control. No birth control.
I don't believe my parents do a lot of deep diving.
Yeah, you didn't ask your mom.
So like, are you pulling out, Dad? Or
okay, good to know.
But yeah, there's 11 kids.
Are you like you're not the oldest?
I'm the second oldest.
Second oldest.
So that's why you want. Well, don't you feel like you raised children then?
Yeah.
No, I was pretty selfish.
You're like I was.
Yeah,
selfish.
No, I have an older sister, and then there were 2. Then it goes boy, girl, 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 and then so I was unique in this. Like I was the only boy for a while in my like early life, and I never starved for attention, I guess. And then by the time I got older, and then my mom had more babies. Like there were girls to babysit, and I was like off playing sports. And so I'm sure I certainly babysat, and I certainly had plenty of chores to do, but I never really had to take on that responsibility.
Do you think you'd be a good dad?
I'd like to think, that's like a weird flex, what are you supposed to say? I feel like I'd be pretty good. I'm attentive.
Would you have like a traditional house, do you think? Like,
what do you mean?
Like,
I'm not very traditional.
Like you work, like that kind of a thing?
No.
Like traditional?
No. I mean, if I make enough money and my wife would like to stay home, depending on how many kids, I'm attracted to people who are motivated and go-getters, so to speak. And so I'm not traditional in the sense of like, I don't have this defined plan, especially now, where I have this idea of what my life's going to look like with my kids and my wife or baby mama is going to do a certain thing. It all just depends. It would be a turnoff for me if let's say I had kids and I was married, and let's say the kids were in school and they're kind of doing their thing, and my wife just like went shopping every day. I wouldn't find that attractive.
Right. That goes
she doesn't necessarily, I don't need her to work per se, but maybe to your point, like maybe she's going to the PTA and giving back and volunteering her time. Like laziness is a turnoff for me in general. So does that answer your question?
To be lazy.
I know. Wouldn't that be the dream?
I haven't watched an episode of television like past.
I love being lazy too. I'm talking about in general.
I don't know. I don't. I would love to be lazy. Yeah. I don't think women don't really get the choice, especially mothers. Like I don't sit down until yesterday. I sat down for the first time at 11:30 at night. Like you just don't get time. Like as a mom and a working mom and trying to get your career on track and having all these different roles and having a husband, like you just don't sit down.
Right.
You
right.
know?
I could be a stay-at-home dad. I'd be down for that.
He's like, I could be lazy.
Do it, right?
Well, I wouldn't be lazy, but I wouldn't feel emasculated. I'm attracted to a woman who's career oriented.
We talk about,
but it all depends. It really just depends on how the situation that I find myself.
We talked on the podcast recently about how women feel like it's dirty word to say we like to make money, and we like the conversation to change around that because. Roxy and I love. It's still a little bit of a thing.
Yeah, it is.
I believe that. I mean, listen, we're getting more progressive, but we have a long way to go.
We do have a long way to go because there's still that stigma attached to it. I mean,
make that money,
right?
We can't make it rain.
We're not supposed
wipe
to
it on my body. Right, that's my fantasy.
All over naked.
I had this conversation recently with a friend, and it was something along those lines. And I think the question was posed to me, would it bother me or emasculate me if I was with someone who made considerably more money than me? And to which I answered, no. I'm a hardworking, motivated person. There's a whole, like, I never feel like I'm doing enough. I'm very comfortable with my income, and that's great. But let's say I settled down with someone who's like wealthy or like just really killing it. I know I'm working hard, and I know I'm doing what I love, and I know I'm like working towards certain goals. And so if that person happened to make more money than me, I think that would be great. Can we get married? Because I want some of that money. It wouldn't bother me,
Give it to me.
Because I know I'm doing what I love, and I know I'm working hard, and I'm working towards
doing the best
something.
you can. You're comfortable with that.
Yeah, best you can. I'm just saying, like, I'm not being lazy. I'm not, it just might be some industries you make more than others,
What's your greatest fear? Like, what keeps you up at night?
What's my greatest fear? Being a failure. I don't like failure.
Where does that come from?
I've always been, I don't know. I like to challenge myself. I don't know.
What does failure mean though?
I don't know. I just
what does it look like to you?
No pressure.
Yeah.
If that's a broad statement, I would, I'd like to have kids, so I have a fear of not ever settling down and not having kids, or, I can be vain, so like getting older, as a guy, you have a fear of losing your hair,
Do you do anything about that? Do you do injections, or do you?
I do a lot of moisturizer. I really big on the moisturizer. As you've seen the picture of my parents, I've been blessed with good genes in terms of.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. I had a physical, and they did a lot of blood work, and it turns out
you're so good.
Even my insides are like my doctor's like, you're like 20 years old, and I'm like, great. It's a lot of Gen X, and so far so good.
Yeah.
My dad, I mean, he's 62. It looks like he's a 45-year-old.
Nice. So what do you think is the public's biggest misconception about you?
I don't know. What is the public's
Or
conception about me? I think there's a
conception about you.
I don't know.
Bachelor?
Yeah. Forever and ever.
Well, I mean, if being in the public eye, I mean, having a podcast, I guess, kind of helps. There's a stigma with reality TV people that they're lazy and dumb. Generally, there might be there might be that, or that I, like, what do you do, or like you just want to be famous, kind of thing.
That's probably
but
because
I don't know what all the conceptions are of me. Again, I've been in the public eye enough that there's probably a lot of opinions. There's people who really like me. There's probably some people who still don't. If I were to get criticized, it might be that I'm a jerk. And then other people who think I'm the greatest guy ever. I mean, that's when so to answer what's the one biggest one, I mean, I don't know. And being someone who has a social media platform, or being on reality TV, and I've been on it a few times, and I've played different characters, and so there's probably a lot. And especially in reality TV, the way they even construct the show is they want you to pick sides. And so also there's people who literally have watched some of the seasons I've been on and watched others. So if you watched them all, you have one opinion. Maybe you only watched the first season I was on in The Bachelor. Maybe you've only seen my first 2 seasons and never saw the shows where I people started liking me more and things like that. So I don't, I certainly didn't play a singular character.
I think the conceptions come from the fact of what types of people audition for shows like that, right? And you always have to have a reason. So if the reason is I feel lonely, I want to meet someone, that's why I was on The Bachelor, then that's one thing. But if it is because hey, I think it'd be good to be well known because it'll help with my other stuff. So it's just the conception comes from the why, and the why of the people who audition. Where does that come from?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think most people back in the day when I went on, it was just more like, here's this fun opportunity.
And also to make some money, right?
Yeah. Not when I went on, when you didn't get paid, and there wasn't social media like it is now. I mean, there was social media, but it wasn't the business model that you see now. I mean, it's changed drastically in just a few years. Now when people go on, there's definitely a business model attached to it. But I think when people first went on, it was more like, I mean, your friends sign you up. It wasn't like a lot of guys back in the day would get signed up. I don't know if it's the same now, just because not as many guys watch the show. And not that it's bad if a woman signs herself up. She watched the show, she's a fan, I'll go. But it was just more for the adventure. It was more for this neat opportunity. Wouldn't it be cool to travel the world and maybe fall in love? But there wasn't a lot of I'll make money, and there wasn't a career path laid out for you at all. Yeah, so
we should do some dating advice, because you're our first guy and we need some help because our husbands hate us. So
okay.
All right. Yeah.
He's like, okay. They do hate us a little bit. No, they don't. He'll be like, what did you just say?
Okay. So do men play games? What is the...
People play games.
But do you think that men play more games than women in the dating world?
No.
You don't?
Do you?
I think I play a little bit of games at the beginning.
My husband says I manipulate him, but I actually think it's so innate in women, and I'll tell you why. Because my daughter is 6, my oldest daughter is 6, and she manipulates. It's almost like innately in females. And it's just I'll say one thing, I'll say hey, I just need some space, and I'll go I'll go to the room, and I'll be sitting there going, you asshole, why did you not walk into the room and hold me? But he just did everything that I just told him to do, and I'm mad about it.
Yeah.
That's manipulation.
Well, I guess it depends on what your intent is.
For him to hug me?
It's just passive aggressive.
I should talk about that with my therapist.
Well, I mean, I think people can be manipulative. I think some people are more manipulative than others. I'm sure, I think women can be very manipulative at times, but certainly men can be manipulative. I think people play games, and think games has kind of a negative stigma sometimes, especially early on in dating.
Right.
What games is just about like all dating is. It's relationships or power dynamics. You know, there's a different power dynamic going on when you're getting to know someone in dating. There's a different power dynamic going on when you're married with kids for years. Power changes; it shifts. You know, from day to day or from year to year. And like the game, like the game that you described is like, for whatever reason, there's some, you know, you're trying to see what you get, you know, if your intent is to see if you can get them to do it. And if you're trying, you know, then that's more of a game, and that's a little manipulative. But
you don't know you're doing it though.
That's the thing. I don't know if it's manipulative. If you just are, maybe that's just more your communication style is a little more passive aggressive, and maybe that's something to work on.
And it's all the shit that you have to deal with, and that's why therapy is so good, because it's just you feel insecure within the moment, and you want the guy to just say, "Hey, I know we're fighting, but I love you.
Yeah.
It's not my intention. I care about you." And if men just said that, all the fights would go away.
Right.
Our friend in our friendship group, she like said she was watching a movie with her husband. He was on the phone, and she was just like, "Get out of the room. Do you know how disrespectful it is about this? You know how many people worked on this movie? Get out." So we just left. And I said, the problem is, it wasn't about the movie. The problem is you were just upset that he wasn't paying attention to you because you wanted to spend time with him. And she said, yes, but I would not tell him that.
That is not the way to get a guy to want to spend time with you.
Or
But
have
it's
sex with
also,
you.
but it's also making yourself vulnerable, which people don't like to do.
Yeah,
I being
Roxy
one
put
of
her,
them.
yeah, Roxy put her hand up.
I just, you know, it's an uncomfortable place to put yourself, to be like just out there and be like, okay, this is like how I feel, like, you know, and if she had explained it, like, obviously it probably would have been different, but it's an uncomfortable place to put yourself out there. Like,
it's funny because I feel like that way with sex. Like every 3 to 4 days, if I don't get sex, I start playing games, and I can't. I don't know.
Even when you're married now?
After 3 days, that I get aggressive about it, which is so sexy. I'm sure a guy wants to have sex with me when I'm like, won't you have sex with me? I mean, he runs the other direction because I'm so full on about it. And it's, for me, it's not about the act of orgasm. For me, it's about the act of connection.
Closeness.
It's connection, and it's being close. And when you have children, you're so distracted, and you don't see each other. You're passing each other like ships constantly. And so every 3 days, I'm like, I need to be intimate with you, to feel really connected, so that we can have that last for another 3 days. And when I don't have it, I turn into a bitch, and I don't know how to change, because it's something that comes over me, and I know I'm in it, but I can't get laid like that. No one wants to have sex with the mean girl. Mean mommy.
the mean mom.
I would agree with that. I don't know if I don't think men do not get turned on by being yelled at.
I know.
And like, you know, criticizing them is certainly not.
No.
I don't want to hug.
I know. I know.
I have dated women with big personalities who have in the past fought with a bit of a bite, and I was just like, that does not get me to want, you know,
I know.
to do that. It's been a challenge, but I don't know why. But I think that's, again, I wonder if I think that's more of a personality thing, not necessarily specific to certain women. I think guys can do that too, you know, if they have hot tempers or they're just very defensive and they're hot and cold, as opposed to, you know, some men and women are, you know, a little bit more chill about it, and they have their own problems too. But like they might be more like they might not be mean. They can get distant, closed off. You know, they can be.
My husband does that. He does the shutdown thing, and I do the aggressive thing. So what happens?
Wow, you're still together.
Yeah. We love each other, but like he
really
gets
beating the odds.
So he gets shut down, and then I get mad because I feel like that's rejection. Instead of him just being open and me chilling the fuck out, that's when we fight, is when he shuts down and I get aggressive, because there's two people not connecting at all. But when we calm down, we're great.
All good.
Every 3 days.
But yeah, I think people can be manipulative, and I think games are a part of relationships. I think some people will focus on the word, like the meaning, or he plays. I don't like playing games. Well, everyone says I don't like playing games. Like, yeah, you do.
You do, especially at the beginning. It's like part of the fun.
It's just kind of how you figure it out,
right?
You know? It's all based off of you feel a little insecure. You don't know where you stand.
Right.
You don't know how much they like you. People want what they can't have. These are all true things, you know, because especially early on in dating, you don't know anyone. You don't have any actual connection. So it's all based off of
Fear.
the idea of things, you know?
So what is like the most confusing thing to you about women?
Let me start the next podcast for 2 hours.
What is the most confusing thing
About women?
about women? Dating, like women, yeah.
I don't know. Again, it's just I don't like stereotype like women. I think nowadays people are more selfish and more confused about what they want, and it's paralysis of choice, you know. And people, you know, whether I don't think it's just LA. People have become more superficial and a little closed off, and you know, everyone's trying to find the perfect and you know, kind of floating around, and that can be frustrating at times.
Yeah.
But you know, women in general, I don't have a major frustration that I think I've dated enough that I've met different personalities, you know.
And you have so many siblings. That's the reason, though.
I think that's
you're not as
helpful.
confused, 'cause
Yeah.
my husband gets very confused when I have PMS, to the point where I actually put in his diary. I say, like, these 4 days I'm going to be pretty shitty. So like, just be aware of it, right?
Yeah, good heads up.
Yeah, good heads up. But it still confuses him every time. He's like, "Why are you acting like this?" So what do you do when a woman is going through PMS? Like, what do? Do you just like shut down and run away, or do you just take it?
Well, I don't remember. I haven't been in a relationship long enough. But if I were dating someone, I mean, I have, or you know, and again, it's not like you're tracking it as a guy. So you know, especially you don't want to be the guys like, you know, a woman gets mad, "Are you on your period?" You're like, "Oh,
that
God,"
is
you
the
know?
worst thing
So
I
lame.
can say to a woman,
So
right?
lame.
No, I'm not on my fucking. You know?
I know. Every time.
Every time.
Every time.
But
Yeah.
if I were dating someone and she actually said, "Hey, listen, I in fact am," and I might be a little like testy, I guess I would just be like, "All right, well,
Yeah.
just you know, be on my best behavior." I mean, my biggest thing is just don't be mean. You know,
We can't help it.
Yeah.
fine,
the
but
hormones talking.
But I still don't have a ton of patience for that. Like, if you can be mad, you can yell.
Okay, mad but not.
You can yell. You can be frustrated. You can even be irrational about a certain situation. But if you're being mean, and I feel like your only goal in this fight is to, in fact, hurt my feelings, I don't have any patience for that.
That's a good lesson.
Yeah.
I'll just be like, I don't care. I don't care if you are feeling the way you are. Because, like, again, I'm in no way trying to compare what a woman has to go through every month. But, like, I can be emotional. I can be sensitive at times. You know, I don't think that's necessarily an excuse to be mean to anyone.
I agree. I'll work on that.
But you know, we all have our bad moments and our good moments. So I can put up with a lot. Just don't try to hit my soft spots just because you're feeling a certain way.
Do you have sex on a woman's period?
Sure. Yeah, fuck it.
Go. He's
You
good.
know, when in Rome. What? Even when I was younger, you know.
Doesn't bother. So many men, these days, it doesn't bother.
I don't
Does it
quite
bother
honestly.
David? It doesn't bother David?
I haven't
It
done a lot of,
bothers David?
I haven't done a lot of polling.
Roxy.
He's not like super into like period sex. Like
I will say,
it's a little messy.
if I were married in a relationship, it's just like, yeah, we can wait a couple days.
Right.
You know, I feel like you're married. Well, like, we're gonna have sex. We're married. In a situation like when I was younger, it's listen. If you're willing to have sex with me now, I'm fucking game. You know, like if I'm happen to be in a dating situation now, like you know where where it's the moment of passion. There's a lot of chemistry going on, and she's like, just you know. I'm like, it's not going to stop me.
Yeah.
Right? If
it feels good for the woman. That's the
It
thing
does,
that
'cause
women
you're
don't
so
talk
sensitive.
about. You're so sensitive.
Yeah.
The orgasms are really intense.
it's not a turnoff.
I
That
have a lot
can't be
more
the
stories
first
like
time
that.
that's happened. You
No.
know, like I've never heard of that story before.
Yeah.
But it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, why, you know, people get hotels to do crazy shit, especially, you know, let's say, I'm not saying you're, but like people get hotels that have affairs.
Yeah.
And then you think of all the time where like, if you're going to have sex on your period, it's when like you don't have the luxury of waiting.
Right.
You get the hotel. Like, hey, fuck it. We invest in this hotel. We got it. We're fucking. You know, like I got to assume that must have happened before, but that's funny.
I don't know if it's like the same for you, but like a lot of times, and I think it's the time of the month too, because you're so sensitive and like you want to like fuck that. You start and then I've like gotten my period because
Many
of the
times,
sex.
many times.
Because of the sex.
I actually
So
do it sometimes to ask to get my period.
Yeah, because it kind of shakes things up in there.
And it also helps you go into labor. FYI. FYI.
It does.
It's interesting too, though, because a lot of would you have sex when your wife was pregnant? Heavily pregnant.
I'd like to think, but I haven't been there.
That's where dimples come from.
I'm speaking out of. That's where dimples from the baby.
Dimples from the baby come from.
From sex. Yeah.
Ha ha ha.
Pokey pokey.
No.
Would you tell your kid? You know, you got those.
No, I don't know if I would ever really say that to my child, and they do have dimples. Thank you. On that note, how could you end on a better note?
I know, right? Dimples.
Thank
Gotta
you
love
so
them.
much for coming. You're our first
Thank
male.
you.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad I could pop the male cherry.
You did. You did. It was great.
Up any cherry these
Yeah.
days. Again.
I think men need
All of them.
more opportunity on your show. You know, us,
Equal opportunity.
us white guys not getting enough of.
No.
Not enough love.
I also think that it's important for women to hear, men's point of view, because we do have preconceived notions about you guys, especially handsome guys, and it's nice to hear about what goes on inside, and to go through your brain. So thank you for coming and
Thanks for having me.
sharing your sweet spot.
I did once.
Yes.
I messaged a girl and she said, I can't go out with you. You're too good looking. I thought it was a line, and I literally never heard from her again. I was like, "Fuck, man!"
You're
a lot to unpackage there. But
I dumped a guy because he was too good looking, because I felt really weird having sex with him.
Why?
He was so hot that it was just.
That's the best, though.
I know, the whole time I was like, I'm not hot enough for you. The whole time I was just like, I can't.
I for different, like I've heard other women say that about some other guys or whatever. That I will say that's a big difference between men and women. No guys ever.
She's
I know.
Guys don't care what they look like. He might be like, I can't believe we're having sex. This is nuts. But I don't know why you're having sex with me, but we're fucking doing this.
Right.
I can't. If it's too perfect, it's just like, I can't. I don't even want to know about it.
Well, bring me all the perfects.
I
Bring me
know.
all the perfects.
She's into it. Like a little bit of a defect is hot to me. Like a little scar.
That's my takeaway. That's where men and women are most different.
Yeah.
So fun. Well, thank you for
Roxy
coming
Soxy.
on. Yes, thank you, baby. And where can you find us?
Women on Top Official and Women on Top on Instagram. And
Nope.
Okay, we do that again. You say it, because I always get it wrong.
You ask me.
Okay, where can you find us, Roxy?
You can find us on Women on Top Official on Instagram and Women on Top Podcast on Facebook.
Thanks, guys, and we love you.
Thank you. We love you.
Bye,
We are.
Nick.
Bye.
Bye.
Women
On
Top.